Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Foxchair, on the show this evening. It's Rangers Radio royalty. Skipper and Bridgeman. Evening, boys.
Good evening, everybody.
Oh, can I say a huge good evening to the guys in the panel here? Massive good evening to the boys in the lobby, to all the Rangers fans that are listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
I suppose, boys, I was stretching a bow a bit there, boys. Okay, this is a 1960s special, and you guys picked it because that's a generation, it's a decade that's very close to your heart, Skipper.
Yes, very much so. That's when I first saw the Rangers in 1960, and that was my time. The 1960s, right through the 60s, I was in a supporters club and all the rest of it. Saw enough of what the Rangers then.
Do you think it's more special when you've got that freshness about you when you're so young, that you have your golden era when you're in your younger years, and the players are more important to you as you get older? Players come and go, but that first batch, they're your heroes, aren't they?
Oh, they definitely are, aye. And I was fortunate enough to be speaking to some of them in recent years, and one in particular was amazed at some of the games that I could remember that he couldn't. Which is only natural because he's playing all sorts of games for Rangers, and I'm remembering particular incidents because they mean that much to you when you're a kid.
And who was that? Who was that player?
It was Henderson.
Oh, Willie Henderson. Okay, I had the pleasure of speaking to Willie a few weeks ago, actually. Bridgeman, are you there?
I'm indeed, pal. I am indeed.
A golden era for yourself, mate. You were at your physical peak in the 60s, is that fair?
Physical peak. Well, I lasted much like Skip. No, I'm a bit older than Skip anyway. But yeah, that's when your youth became your, shall we say, getting into your manhood, and played a lot of football. West of Scotland.
It was a decade that you went from boys to men, Bridge.
I would suggest so.
Okay.
Well, I got married in the late 60s, and what was Skip? When did you get married, Skip?
Early 70s.
Early 70s, so we're not far away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, obviously you stuck at it, and Skipper's on to 6 or 7 now, ain't he, Skip?
That's no fair saying that, you right.
Let's just say I got wise.
I think the last one was a catalogue, wasn't it?
Oh, that's terrible.
Now, Big Finger is on speed dial, so watch what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry about the blue badge last night. Sorry about that. I apologise. Right, okay, so there's going to be a few questions about the 60s, but it was a different world then, Bridget.
Very much so, pal. Very much so. I mean, I don't know if people remember these things. Probably not, but sometimes you got the subway across, or a ferry, whatever you had to, or you went in the supporters bus if you're going to Ibrox. But a lot of the times when you go in the subway, you met Rangers players coming across for the match. I mean, they didn't have that in those days. They never had their own cars until later on. So Ralphie Brand used to go in the subway, or even get a lift in one of the supporters bus close to him. There was no problem with him. No problem.
Definitely a different world, Skip, huh?
Oh, aye. I mean, there's a famous one where Willie Henderson got caught in traffic and missed a European tie.
Right. People wouldn't believe that, would they? People wouldn't believe that. Right, okay, so you had a challenge. You used to have a joint challenge to do, yeah? And that was to pick a team. But there was only one criteria, yeah? And what was that criteria, Skipper?
They all played for Rangers.
Apart from that?
They all played in the 60s.
And there was one criteria about it?
Most of their career had to be in the 60s.
they had to play the majority of their games in that decade, which made it a bit harder than we thought, Bridgeman, eh?
Absolutely, absolutely. There was a text flying around between Skipper and myself on that.
Yes, some of it was a surprise, Skipper, eh?
It was, yes.
Okay. So we'll work through your team, we'll get your memories of the players, and we'll take it from there if that's all right with you two.
Sounds good.
Bridge?
Excellent, yep.
Okay. All right. Can you give us your goalkeeper first of all?
Now, you want me to give you the odd numbers and that'll let Bridgeman
No, you
give you
just
the
can't.
numbers.
You tell them the names of the players. I'm quite happy with it.
Okay. Well, in goals, Billy Ritchie.
Billy Ritchie. Yeah. Bridgeman, you're thinking on Billy?
One of the strongest goalkeepers the Rangers have ever had. A really, really strong guy. And those are the days when you could bundle a goalkeeper in, shoulder to shoulder and all that. So they took some stick on the shoulders, and obviously sometimes it went a wee bit wider, or round the back, or round the front, things like that. But no, he's strong as an ox. Stood his ground, and no scared to. And those days, you never had pass back laws or anything like that, So there was lots of occasions. But he was good, and he was a big, strong guy, big, strong fella. I loved him. A great goalkeeper.
It was obviously he signed for us in the mid-50s. Skipper, 12 years with the Rangers. Yeah.
Yes. But I think he's another one that did national service and stuff like that. So, like his early years with the Rangers, he didn't play that often. Plus, Josh Niven was there at the time. He would be the number one keeper.
I never took over from him. Yeah.
So
and he only got one cap for Scotland, but there's a very good reason for that. There was a guy called Bill Brown playing with that Tottenham team. He was just excellent. He was his first choice for Scotland every time.
He was a wonderful goalkeeper. Did he start off with Falkirk? I'm sure he did. Bill Brown. Dundee. There you go.
Okay, well we signed Billy Ritchie. Do you know from where? Wasn't uncommon. We signed him for a junior club. We signed him for Bathgate Thistle. And funny enough, we sold him to Partick Thistle. So,
because I think by the time he left, who was it? Rangers manager took over. Our Rangers manager took over. Scott Simon. He took over Partick Thistle. So I think it was quite a few Rangers players would have made their way into Partick Thistle for sure.
Well, George Niven had went there previous.
There you go. See.
Yeah, looking at his career, it looks as if he signed for us in approximately 1955-56. Never really made any appearances as such, and then played in the 57-58 season, and then he'd hardly any appearances for the next 2 years. So that would suggest that's when he'd done his national service.
My call-up, that was the last of the call-up.
I would think so, yes.
The call-up stopped. The physical call-up stopped in 1960. So anybody before 1960, if they get called up, they'd have to do their stuff, and that could take them up to, let's say, 62 even,
Bridgeman, for the younger viewers like myself, or younger listeners like myself, do you want to explain what you mean by the call-up?
The army, the forces, there was conscription at that time. So a lot of the young lads, and the younger lads, they had to do their 2 years national service with either whatever armed forces you wanted to get into, if they could take you. And that included a whole load of footballers. The great Jim Baxter had to do it. I remember that vividly. So they all had to go and do their duty. And that lasted until the last official date for call-ups was 1960. And after that, they stopped. But the people who were called up had to do their 2 years. So officially, no more conscription after 1962, let's put it that way. But that's exactly what conscription was. So you ended up in the army, invariably, and doing their what do you call it? My uncle said he was in Carlisle, just outside Carlisle. He says he hated the night you had to do your watch at night time. That's it. Oh, and he said it was freezing, absolutely perishing.
obviously used to would have been too young to catch any of that, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
All right. So Billy Ritchie's your goalkeeper. Did you think about anybody else, Skipper?
Well, the only other real one you can pick for the 60s would have been Norrie Martin. Because George Niven was in the way out at the start of the 60s. And then the two at the end of the 60s were Eric Sorensen and Jerry Neath. But they only maybe like one season each or something.
Yeah, they were. It could only been Billy Ritchie. I don't even think Norrie Martin made it in the number of games that Ritchie played.
Billy Ritchie played about twice as many games, and that's just in the 60s, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so Billy Ritchie is the obvious choice for your goalkeeper, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. 348 games for the Rangers, yeah? That's a lot of games. Right, okay, so you're going to set your team up in a different formation for modern day. Bridgman, do you want to give us it, how you're setting your team up?
I think it's like the two full-backs in the centre half, so you've got three at the back, just similar to what's called the modern day thing. And then it's two centre halves, or half-backs, sorry, so two half-backs. And then you'd your midfield, your lower midfield, and then your attackers. That's the way it is. So something like 3-2-2-3, something like that. 3-2-2-3. Is that right? Is that right?
Me, Skipper. I don't know about you.
I think it is. I think that's what it was. I was an old-fashioned person. I would have just kept it as the W formation,
3-5-2.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Are you happy with that, Skip?
Oh, for peace and quiet, let's go with that.
No, please, Skipper, don't. You just tell us because you liked that formation, so you can maybe explain it a bit better and what your thought process is in it.
No, I'm fine with what you're talking about. Your two halfbacks sitting, and then your two inside forward are sitting just off the centre forward, aren't they?
Yeah.
Would you say it was a more attacking style of football then? It was all about scoring goals rather than, some bizarre results then, heavy scoring games, compared to modern.
Yeah, well, I would certainly say that because you had, for a start, you had two wingers feeding the forwards, so you five forwards attacking all the time. So, and as Bridge says there, you've got three at the back, so the half-backs had to come back and help and cover up as best they could.
Yeah, that's the truth, yeah. There were two pacey wingers, and most teams had two pacey wingers. Obviously, the ones that we had were better than the rest of them put together, But when you had people like Henderson and Davy Wilson, and Henderson took.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, pal. Sorry.
That's the end of the show, folks. All right, so we'll start with your defenders one at a time, then, Skipper.
Right back, Bobby Shearer.
Bobby Shearer, Captain Cutlass, Bridgman.
Yeah,
Captain Cutlass. That's him, Captain Cutlass.
Yeah.
He was the man that said that Hento would never beat him at Ibrox for pace, never, and he leathered him. But he was good. He was a very hard tackler. The fullback, brilliant.
He just made it in the 60s team, Bridge. Just made it. Wasn't there much in it? He played a lot of games in the 50s as well, yeah?
Yeah, but I think... I can't remember exactly, but there was other players were available as well. He started to get players like... I think I'd say to Skipper with Davy Provan. Ask me, I'm stepping too much out. I'll just forget that. We'll stick with Shearer. My mind races in front of me. Sorry.
All right, Bobby Shearer, 423 games for Rangers. Would it be fair to say he wasn't the most athletic fullback we ever had, Skipper?
Yes. Well, the choice I had with him was either Bobby Shearer or Kai Johansson. Johansson was a great footballer. But if I was going to put Audrey in a cup replay, I like Bobby Shearer.
Yeah, 100%, yeah, 100%. He was a better player than Shearer and far more mobile. But Shearer was very sturdy, and when he tackled you, or he tackled them, They knew he was there.
Captain Rangers a fair bit, yeah?
Oh, yes, because Eric Caldo had broke his leg and he was out for quite a while. And it was a difficult task to get the captaincy back again. And I don't even know if he ever did, Eric Caldo, to be honest.
Okay. So Bobby Shearer on the right side of the defence, left side of the defence, Skip?
It is Davy Provan.
That caused a bit of controversy today, didn't it?
It did. Because my first choice was Eric Caldo.
And why couldn't we have Eric Caldo?
Because they played too many games in the 50s.
Yeah. That was a shock, Bridgeman, eh?
Yeah, you tend to forget because he was injured a wee bit after he broke his leg and then he never got picked and so on and so forth. Because people come in and take your place, so it's really difficult to get back into it. So there was a massive shortage of amount of games he could have played in the 60s. But I'm quite happy, comfortable with Davy Provan, absolutely.
All right. I would say that maybe I have never seen any of the two of them play, but the older guys that I spoke to in the past have said that Caldo was a cut above, but he can't get in because of the criteria, Bridger.
Yeah, it's good to remember. He was a very speedy player at left back. He was a captain of Scotland, the captain of Rangers, and he a really tidy player. Took all the penalties for Rangers, and he was a really good player. The difficulty was when he did break his leg, one thing bothers another, and sometimes you just can't, no matter what happens, you just can't get back in and properly, you know. So I loved Eric Caldo, and I think most Rangers fans that ever heard of him would say the same thing. Seriously, a really good player.
No in your team. Just come back to Bobby Shearer, Skipper.
Yes.
Obviously, 423 games for Rangers, outfield player. How many goals?
For Bobby Shearer, probably about 4.
Bridgeman?
I wouldn't be too far away from that. I'd double it. I'll go for 8.
Well, if we take away the penalties, right, which you scored 1, you're 100% right, Skipper.
All right.
Well
I knew it wouldn't be money.
No, so he wasn't exactly the James Tavernier, was he?
No, and I think it was the same with Eric Caldo. Eric Caldo took all the penalties, and invariably, that's where he scored his goals. Other than that, I don't remember him ever scoring a goal, to be honest.
These boys never crossed the halfway line, did they?
No.
All right. Central defence, Skip?
It's Ronnie McKinnon.
Yeah. All right, okay. Give your thoughts there, mate. He's a bit of competition, isn't he?
Oh, Ronnie McKinnon would have won, I don't know how many caps for Scotland. If it hadn't been for the fact you guys like Billy McNeil and Ian Ewer. So the caps were all spread out between them. But McKinnon was a great centre half.
Bridge?
Yeah, Ronnie McKinnon was the fastest man in Scotland. And I mean that in all honesty. He was the fastest player in Scotland. And even when we had Bud Johnson in there, he was like lightning across the grass. Really fast. And what Skip's saying there is true. Because the shall we say, Caesar over in Celtic Park there, he was captain of the European Cup team captain, you know, for the European Cup winners. But really, my opinion, McKinnon was a far better centre half than him. Far better centre half.
487 games. Remember, the majority of these boys' career, there was no substitutes.
Yeah.
So he was prolific as well. He scored the same amount of goals as Bobby Shearer.
It's again, but he never crossed the halfway line, probably.
Funny you say that, Bridge. If I can say very quickly that McKinnon always tells the story that he scored a last-minute equaliser away to Red Star in 1964. And as he was running up for the corner in the last minute, Simon and David Kinnear are waving him back. Where are you going? So, I mean, the centre-half didn't cross the halfway line.
That's
just
right.
Didn't he?
Well, you know, the guy you were speaking about a couple of minutes ago there, McNeil, that was that was introduced by their manager, Steen. He wanted the attacking centre half, and that's Billy McNeil scored a lot of goals for Celtic with a head at corner kicks and free kicks. We didn't do that. We never had anybody to do that. So obviously we bought someone when McKinnon left, and when that was on there, we started doing it. It was doing the same thing as them and getting up the park. But by that time, they were settled in. They knew what they were doing with it.
Mm-hmm. Bizarrely, Ronnie's last game for us, did he break his leg?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, in 1971. I know we're going to. It was against Sporting Lisbon, and that famous game where we lost 4-3 when we were first team to get away goals. Skipper, yeah.
Yes.
That was his last game for the club. Yeah.
Aye, that's really sad that he didn't finish that season with us.
Mm-hmm. He never got to play in the final. Yeah.
Colin Jackson took over from him, wasn't it?
But he never made the final either. He had an ankle knock, didn't he?
All I mean is in the team. He actually took over from.
All right, so that's your back three, and then you're moving on to your sort of midfield five. So your two sitting midfielders, Skip.
Is John Greig and Jim Baxter.
Oh, right and left. Wow, different styles there. What was your thinking, Bridgeman?
Well, they compensated each other, There's a lot of toughness within John Greig, of course, and he won the ball. Because remember, they crossed each other. One ran for the left, one ran for the left to right, and right to left. No, they were good players. They were really good players, and Baxter picked up a lot of loose balls. He was the one that picked up when the second ball came in. He invariably picked it up, But Greig was a ball winner, and I think you'll probably see that both of them, as they went on in their careers, were playing for Rangers. Both of them could win the ball and find the other because they knew exactly where they would be. So if Baxter needed it, he could find Greig, and if Greig needed it, he could find Baxter. And that's the truth. That's the way they played. They were absolutely brilliant together. Really were. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Some people would argue, Skipper, the greatest ever Ranger and the greatest ever Rangers player. They two.
It would be hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. Yeah. Obviously, everybody knows where my flag lies when it comes to Rangers. Mr. Baxter wins hands down. He wins hands down. But I think the teamwork of those two, and remember they were both halfbacks in the greatest sense of the word. So the halfback, they worked either side. So you got a left foot, right foot. You know what I mean? That's basically their job. And pick the ball up and then feed, particularly inside forwards or the ball down the wing. That's what they did. And it works. It works.
In the modern game, in the modern day, Skipper, who would you compare Greig and Jim Baxter to?
I was going to say Shane Duffy, but I don't think it's.
Got yourself, Skip. Oh, brilliant.
Well, it's kind of hard to think, especially Greig, because it's a different game now. You can't tackle the way John Greig used to tackle.
Would people think who maybe a bit younger, he maybe played the game like maybe Ian Ferguson or maybe Patrick Vieira? Would that be fair?
Ian Ferguson, aye.
All right, okay.
I think he kind of does the job similar to a job that Ryan Jack would do just now, although he was more physical in his approach to the game, and obviously was a stronger guy for John Greig. And Jim Baxter, well, from a midfield perspective, you could only say Baxter would do what Stephen Davis does at the moment, and be the playmaker, pick the ball up and play the ball and so on and so forth. So these are the kind of people with a level. Baxter was a bit above them, I must admit. But it's just great. It was just great to watch them. They were marvellous together. Marvellous.
Bridgeman, for the younger boys that's listening, if the guys that's playing football is new, where would you put Baxter? What kind of player would it be? Who would it be?
Left side of midfield.
Oh, but who would he be?
And what do you mean? Physically?
No, who would he be? Would he be a De Bruyne, or would he be somebody? No, because obviously you're saying he's top level, yeah?
Oh yes. Well, I think you could say De Bruyne, yeah, but I think it didn't. The way Jim Baxter played, I have to admit, he had a great feeling, and that was, he was never great with his fitness was never the greatest because of his shall we say social habits. So I think Kevin De Bruyne was a different level again. To be honest, you couldn't get Baxter in. You couldn't put Baxter into your team, but you could put De Bruyne in. You know, so I think De Bruyne's a better player in the modern for the modern game. I think it'd be unfair to try to categorise Baxter like De Bruyne. I don't think we would do it. If you want to say, well, okay, we'll put a handicap on them, yeah, they would both be like equal. But De Bruyne does whatever he does for Manchester City, and that's what Baxter did for us. Don't play very well without him. He's brilliant when he's playing.
All right. People will be surprised he only scored 24 goals, Skip.
Yes. Again, that wasn't his forte. He just fed day forwards.
Mm-hmm. But John Gregg scored over 100 goals.
Yeah, I think you'll find that John Gregg was when Baxter had retired and so on and so forth. So John Gregg became quite a cult hero with Rangers, and Rangers hit a very, very poor patch, as you know. And Gregg seemed to pick the ball up from anywhere and never dig, and inevitably got goals. So he started taking the penalties as well. So it all builds up. He wasn't a prolific goal scorer, i.e. as a centre forward or anything like that, but he got his goals. And he did. I mean, what was the one we were talking about just the other week? He picked the ball up in the penalty area and ran all the way up and passed it to somebody, got it back and put it in. Marvellous.
124 goals, only 9 penalties, Bridge.
No, but I'm just saying, he wasn't a prolific goal scorer himself, and then he started taking penalties. And the bug bites, because we had other people that took penalties, and he did it. He got himself into the positions. Marvellous player. Wonderful servant for Rangers. Wonderful servant. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I don't think I've ever seen all his goals, but my goodness gracious, I can bet you he's ran 40, 50 yards with the ball, made a 1-2 pass and put the ball in the net. Right. Money on that.
His best season goal scorer, there wasn't a year in his career which started in 1961 and finished in 1978. There wasn't a year that he never scored for us.
There you go. Very, very, very good. I mean, I can't praise the guy enough for what he was. And the great commentator Kenneth Wilson said, "This is a new guy when we played England. This is a new guy playing for Scotland named Gregg. Run through a brick wall for the ball. Run through a brick wall." And that was, you can't get much better praise from than he was a god at the time with the commentary, Kenneth Wilson.
768 games. 4 substitutes appearance, 124 goals. The greatest ever Rangers skipper.
Greatest ever servant, certainly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with skipper there. You can't disagree with it. I'd have to agree with him.
All right, okay. All right,
no, so but the club and the fans have voted him as the greatest ever Ranger.
Aye.
And what the figures that you've just given out, the number of games, the number of goals he scored during that period, that you have to be a special player to be able to do that, and he was.
Okay, we're not opening the lines yet, gentlemen. We will be soon, ladies and gentlemen. Right, okay, so we're moving on to your sort of more forward players, your sort of front five, if you like. Next. Yep, next.
The next one, we're outside right, is Willie Henderson.
Willie Henderson, okay. Right, okay. Again, a guy that's maybe known as to be one of Rangers' all-time greats. A guy who was in, along with Baxter, was called into the World Select. Is that right, Rich?
That's correct, yep. And he was a fabulous player. And I would have liked him, a great character, marvellous character. And he loved the boxing as well. He liked the boxing. So when he went to I can't remember the place they went to, but in Scotland here. But he met a lot of celebrities and all that, and he became a celebrity himself. He was natural at it, natural. Brilliant player.
431 appearances for the club, 65 goals, but again, their job was to put the crosses in. Skipper?
Yes. I would love to be able to find out just how many assists Willie Henderson had.
You didn't have that kind of stats there. Made his debut as
That's the truth. He made his debut, what, sorry?
17-year-old.
Yeah. I was working in the centre of Glasgow when Henderson was introduced, And in the morning time, one of the guys was a red hot Rangers fan. He was season ticket holder. No, he went to all the games. I don't think they had season tickets at that time. So he went to all the games and he was given its big legs. This place I worked in was down in York Street, and I was the only proddy working in there, on the shop floor. This guy I'm talking about, he was a lift man. He would bring the stuff up to the take it away again. He'd bring the goods up. He was a right Ranger man, and he was talking about Willie Henderson at that time. That's incredible. Wee Willie Henderson, they called him. Wee Willie Henderson is great boy.
He was very short-sighted, is that right, Skip?
Blind as a bat. Absolutely blind as a bat. But my older brother and I, here's one for Bridgeman. We went to Caskin Park to see for Lanark reserves against Rangers reserves. And this is the first time we'd ever seen this wee guy. And we came home and we said to my father, you want to see this wee guy they've got in the reserves at outside right? He's absolutely brilliant. This guy's going to play for, it's like when you're kids. Oh, he's going to play for Scotland. He'll do this, he'll do it. And I remember my father saying, well, he must be some player then if he's going to put Alex Scott out the team. And within about 6 months he did.
Indeed he did.
And he was
and Alex Scott was superb.
Yeah. Well, he was playing in the... He was a left. He played an outside left for the first couple of weeks when Henderson came into the team. So he just moved across to outside left because maybe Davy Wilson was injured or something. I can't remember. But when it came to the Scotland team, by that time Scotland were playing, and again Davy Wilson maybe get injured, never get picked or whatever, and Alex Scott was in the reserves and he gets picked straight in as outside left. And I think he was a natural left footer anyway. Something about him. He was a fantastic player, Alex Scott. Went to Everton, didn't he?
Won the league with Everton as well, aye.
Yeah.
Okay, so Willie Henderson, right, you've started well here, Skip. Carry on.
So where are we going now?
It's up to
across
you.
the way, inside right.
Inside right, we've went for Jimmy Miller. And that might surprise some folk. But Jimmy Miller played there quite a few times. The centre forward we've got.
Ah, okay. What was your thinking, mate? Jimmy Miller there?
Well, another warhorse. Again, if I'm going to put order in a winter's night in a cup replay, I'll have Jimmy Miller in my team, please.
Would people say that there's similarities between Jimmy Miller and, say, Alfredo Morelos?
That's maybe not a bad comparison, aye. He could handle himself, could Jimmy?
Yeah, he handled himself very well, Skipper. You're absolutely right. But I don't think he was. He didn't have the great skills that Morelos has got. But he could, as they say, he can battle. And when you put the ball up there, he was up there for it. And there was then we're talking about the time when it didn't matter if you shoulder charged somebody or barged into them. It didn't really matter. They just got and played. That's the truth, because it wasn't really a foul, Unless, of course, the referee said it was really bad, but, just like I said about the goalkeepers, just went and shoulder charged them and barged them over the line, things like that. That's the kind of thing that happens.
Okay. All right, he never started off as a forward, as you said, Skipper. He only scored 13 goals in his first 53 games over 4 seasons, but he ended up with 169 games and 329 appearances. 169 goals and 329 appearances. So his record was pretty good there.
Aye, he started off as a halfback, and then I think it was like a pre-season tour or something in Denmark. Something happened and there was injuries, and they put him to centre forward, and he just started scoring goals all over the place.
Like a natural, wasn't he? Like a natural.
Aye, it's and his form in the early 60s, particularly 59, 60, 60, 61, 61, 62, 62, 63, 64. That's when he scored the vast majority of his goals. That's when the team were dominant in the 16, Skipper.
Yes, and if he's got a great record in the cup finals.
All right, okay.
Scored a lot of goals in cup finals.
Yeah, also when he went in to do the challenging in there, much like Morelos does for the Rangers, and the ball breaks, then the old-fashioned word was the inside forwards. they were nearly always available to go in there and try and smash a ball in, or even the wingers could cut in and try and pick up the loose ball. And that's the kind of service that he gave, you know. He wasn't silky smooth, but he was in there fighting with the goalkeeper and whomever it was at centre half or whatever, and the ball could break. And if the ball broke, then you got a decent inside forward. You'll pop, have a go at goal, you know.
All right, okay. Aye, good choice. Moving on, Skip.
Well, centre forward is Jim Forrest.
Jim Forrest, I've got to ask both you gentlemen and ask Rangers Football Club, why is Jim Forrest no more Hall of Fame?
I would love somebody to tell me.
Yeah.
There's only one reason, isn't there? There's only one reason. He's fallen out with people up to around about the time of Berwick. And he's been told, no, you're not getting that, and that's all there is to it.
For the Hall of Fame.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. What a player he was for us. He was a wonderful player.
The Hall of Fame was started about 30 years after Berwick, mate. Bygones must be bygones.
No, it would never be. There's things happened that we'll never know about.
I think you're biased because he played for Drumchapel Amateurs, mate.
I'm not biased at all. He was the best centre forward that we had. I'll tell you now.
For the younger,
as a pure centre forward, sorry?
For the younger listeners, 166 appearances, Skipper. 146 goals, only 2 penalty kicks.
Unbelievable.
He was dropped off the final after Berwick. Sorry, Skipper, I didn't mean to interrupt you, pal.
You call bridge, man. Good, Skip.
I'm saying he scored 4 in the League Cup final, and then the following season came back and scored another 2 against Celtic in the League Cup final.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 against Morton.
Yes.
That was a great Morton team. They scored about 100 goals or something like that from that time. They were in the second division.
They were a very good team.
Yeah. Sorensen, the goalkeeper, remember? He went to us.
I don't know if he was there as early as that. Certainly they'd Alan McGraw and all they kind of guys.
The Alan McGraw, they're always good players.
Man in Black or something they called the goalkeeper at Sorensen. Maybe it wasn't Sorensen.
It was Sorensen, but I mean, I don't know if Sorensen was there in 63.
Was
he there as early as that?
I think he was a Morton goalkeeper.
Let me just give you this for his Rangers career, Jim Forrest. 1963-64 season, total 39 appearances, 39 goals. 1964-65 season, 50 appearances, 56 goals. These are unbelievable stats, Skipper.
I thought there was nobody like Jim Forrest. I thought he was fantastic.
Remember the times we were playing in as well, you know, because the boots weren't as good as they are today, and the ball wasn't as good.
The ball.
That's what I'm saying. The ball. And he didn't header a great deal of balls, truth be told. That was the normally big lunatics, you know, that could get up and header the ball. But he was a fabulous player for us, brilliant player.
And the last game he played for us, unfortunately, was a famous defeat away to Berwick Rangers.
Yeah.
Him and George McLean were the 2 guys that seem to carry the can, which is bizarre, really, isn't it? Because it's a team game, Skipper.
Yes. I still don't understand that whole logic there, that you just ditch they two, and especially when you saw what happened the rest of that season. I mean, his cousin comes in, Alec Willoughby comes in, he's scoring goals for fun, and then they drop him just before the European final. What happened there, I have no idea.
I think after the Berwick game, there's probably been words said either on the bus going home, or indeed in the dressing room, and words were said and maybe fists raised for something like that. That wasn't uncommon, you know. And it's your fault, not your fault. It was your fault. So a lot of people blaming everybody else. You can just imagine the manager being reading the riot act at that time, you know. And obviously somebody was going to get it, and that's for sure, and they too got it. George McLean I could understand, I must admit, because I don't think George McLean was anywhere near as valuable to Rangers as Jim Forrest.
Some record, mate. Some record.
A great record, absolutely. Yeah. He came from St Mirren, George McLean. Oh, sorry, we haven't got him in the team, have we?
No, we'll find out in a minute. Right, okay, but centre forward Jim Forrest, what a goal scoring record, mate. Unbelievable. Never had the longevity with his club players. That people scored 2 goals as an 18-year-old in his debut against them just a fabulous record, and I think I don't know if some of these records will ever be beat. 50 games, 56 goals, just unbelievable stuff. Right, okay. Inside left, Skip.
Yeah, so as I say, we moved Jimmy Miller to the right to accommodate Forrest, because to me you couldn't have the team without Forrest. But inside left, and this was a close one because my idol was Willie Johnston, but I'm afraid Willie just missed out. It had to be Ralph Brand.
All right, okay. Ralph Brand, another legendary name, Bridgeman.
Quality player. He was like lightning, the wee fella, They really good, and he knew the way to go. But he was an inside forward, first and foremost, an inside forward. So he'd be trying to. His idea was get the ball, do whatever he needs to do, have a shot or whatever, and the ball bounce out, and somebody else will pick it up if it isn't in a net, And he was a fantastic scorer for us. Fantastic scorer. Very proud of him.
Ralph Brand, again, 324 appearances, 210 goals. Yeah, made his debut as a 17-year-old. Yeah, against Kilmarnock. Scored in his debut as well. Left us for Man City. Around about the 64-65 season. Yeah. Again, another Rangers legend. 210 goals, 13 penalties, never booked, never sent off.
He was a what do you call it? He was a well thought of by the Rangers fan. He was an idol. They idolised him. He was a great player, very quiet. Never any trouble with him or anything like that. Did his business. And was really quick on the ball, and quick round about the ball, that kind of thing. Very good, very good.
I believe he was Bill Struth's last signing.
Bill Struth's last signing. Oh my goodness, you beat me there, pal. You beat me there.
I might be wrong, but I believe that's. I've seen that somewhere.
Right, okay, I just see managers and teammates. Well, he never played under Struth, but that doesn't mean.
Oh no, it was when Struth was. He signed him as a schoolboy.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. He been pretty much into the team as a schoolboy at 17 years of age. All right.
Yes.
Right, and outside left, mate. I think I could have a guess at this one, but he was some record as well. But carry on.
A certain Mr. Davy Wilson.
Yes,
indeed.
And his goal scoring ratio for an outside left was just unbelievable.
I mean, the last I heard that David Wilson get mentioned, I think George Logan was at the game, and him and his wife met Davy Wilson, and they had a rare blather with Davy. He's an absolute gentleman. Outside left, and he produced the goals, 377 games, 5 as sub, 159 goals, Bridge. 159.
Yeah, he was great. He had a fabulous trick. He'd absolutely hell for leather down the left wing, and obviously the fullbacks chasing him or side on, and he used to stun the ball and leave it. Just used to stun the ball and leave it and keep running, and the fullback still running with him. And you couldn't help. He was like a magnet, He's just running when the ball's lying there, and the half-back or the inside forward could come and pick it up. Not every time, but most of the times, Brilliant to watch. Just brilliant to watch.
Skipper, great goal scoring record for an outside lefter.
He had this sort of instinct for, if Henderson was going, or Alex Scott for that matter, were going down the right, he had this instinct for coming in at the far post, and if the centres missed it, he was there. But he played centre forward one time against Falkirk, and Rangers won 7-1, and he scored 6.
Just a good finisher, huh?
It was great. It was great. It was great.
Okay. Do you want to give your team? Read it out as a whole team then, Rich?
As a team then, it would be Ritchie, Shearer and Probin, Gregg, McKinnon and Baxter, Henderson, Muller, Forrest, Brand and Wilson.
Well done, Skip.
Okay. Well, that's going to take a bit of beating, so we'll part the team. Yeah. We've got some questions to ask you boys about the 60s, okay?
Here we go.
Here we go.
You can answer them all, Skip.
All right. All right. It was the swinging 60s, and I believe you two missed it, but that's another story.
Oi, behave
Right.
yourself.
Right, okay. I just want to ask you, what was the last number one of the swinging 60s, Skipper?
Oh, my God.
The last number one. I'm going to go for Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town.
Oh, no. No. Bridgeman, would you like to go?
I wouldn't have a Scooby-Dooby-Doo. There was millions of songs in the 60s. Absolutely millions.
So it's the swinging 60s when music was hip and all these wonderful groups, yeah?
Yep, indeed, the Hollies, the Beatles, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, the last number one of the 60s was Rolf Harris,
There you go. Two Little Boys. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah, Two Little Boys.
So it's a myth about the swinging 60s, I think. Okay. All right, and we're going to play you, first of all, Skipper. Mr. Fox is going to come in. We're going to play you 3 theme tunes for the 1960s TV shows, yeah? And
right.
The same to you, Mr. Bridgeman. So, if you don't mind listening, Fox is going to play you 3 theme tunes. Skipper?
I have no idea what that first one was. The White Heather Club or something. What was that? The second one sounded like the start of Bonanza.
Right.
And the third one's the Avengers.
Okay, Mr. Fox?
Very good, Skipper. Number 1 was Casey Jones.
Casey Jones.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Steaming and a Rolling.
Steaming and a Rolling it was.
The Cannonball Express.
Number 2 was Bonanza, very well done. And number 3, you also got correct with the Avengers.
The Avengers, absolutely.
All right,
absolutely.
And here we have 3 for Mr. Bridge.
Oh, no, make them easy, for God's sake. God Almighty! You know, I don't know the first one, but the other 2 is in my head, but it won't come out. The scary ones. The Addams Family, was it Addams Family? The third one
was indeed the Addams Family.
Can you play the second one again?
Oh no, you only get 30 seconds.
I don't know. It's in my head.
First one was Roger Moore's The Saint.
Roger Moore, The Saint, of course.
Second one was Bewitched.
Bewitched, there you go.
And of course,
I know every one of them. I know every one of them, but I couldn't get it. The Addams Family. Dibbidi-dim.
So Skip won that round 2-1.
Question for you, Skipper. Yeah?
Oh dear.
Can you name the American presidents during the 60s?
Well, I believe when the 60s started, it was still Eisenhower. Kennedy won the election that year, didn't he?
Carry on, mate.
Sorry?
Carry on.
Then it would be Lyndon Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nixon. Well, Nixon didn't come later, did he?
100%.
Oh, did he? 16,
100%. Bridgeman, can you name the Prime Ministers of the 60s?
Oh, my goodness, that's a good one. It'd be Wilson. Well, it must have been. Who was the one that came back after the war? I can't remember now. There was one still in the Conservative, and then it came to Wilson. And for Wilson, it was Heath, and then Wilson again, and then Callaghan. If my memory serves me right. I don't know if they're all in the 60s or not.
That was the 70s, Bridge. In the 60s, you had Harold McMillan.
That's McMillan, yeah.
And then Alec Douglas Hume.
Oh, right, of course. They brought him back, by the way. He was never voted in as Prime Minister.
That's quite popular at the moment, isn't it? Alex Douglas Hume was brought back in, and then Harold Wilson the rest of the decade.
Yeah.
Skipper seems to be hammering you here, mate.
Oh, he's giving me a doing, absolutely.
Okay. Right, okay. What else we got for these boys? Just a couple of wee bits of trivia for you. What was the biggest film, a joint effort here, what was the biggest movie of the 60s?
Wow.
Bridge.
My memory's telling me, Skipper, my memory's telling me it's The Sound of Music.
That's what I've been thinking, The Sound of Music of Mary Poppins.
Well, by the way, good shout, boys. Sound of Music. Over 30 million people in the UK went to see The Sound of Music, yeah?
Well done, Skip.
Okay.
Was that not a biography of you, Bridgeman?
Aye. Particularly then climbing up bloody mountain. I think I went to see that 4 times so I could see him getting out of that hill.
And we're now getting into a wee bit of economics for you boys. Approximately, in new modern money, what was the cost of a pint of beer in 1960, Bridge?
Oh my God. Well, a pint of beer, I never got a pint of beer in 1960, but I'll have a guess. A Linton's halfpenny.
In new money?
Oh, new money, that would be 5p.
Not bad, Skip.
I'll go for 3p.
8p was the cost of a pint, 1960.
So we got that then?
I'll give it.
Okay, thanks, pal.
Approximately a bit of leeway, just to let people know. This is average UK prices. What was the average price of a house? Maybe not where we came from, but the average price of a house in the UK, 1960.
I think if you can just strip out London, you could probably say about 400 or 500 quid.
Probably the whole of the UK.
Yes. Okay. £5,000.
Not bad effort. Bit less, but not bad effort. Skip?
No, but I went about the same because I'm thinking you're saying the average for the whole of the UK. So I would have thought
it was $2.5 grand.
About the whole thing.
Wow.
Grand. Yeah.
That would have got you a wonderful house up in Bishop Briggs, Kirktilloch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Much would you get Bridgeman's mansion at that time?
I think even then that was priceless.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant. Well done, lads. You've done okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We're not here to embarrass you. We're here to have a bit of fun and try and paint the picture. It's a different world then, Bridgeman?
Oh, wow. I'm out. I mean, just that last question there. I don't know what Skip paid, but I bought a flat. My wife and I bought a flat down in Clydebank. It was about 550 quid or something like that, you know.
That's because you get a $2 grand off because of the bomb damage.
No, seriously. That was the price of them then. Wow.
You know,
it might be a wee bit more because it still had the Anderson shelter.
I love it, Skipper. I love it.
If you could take one thing for the modern era to the 60s and one thing for the 60s to this era, what would it be, Skip?
To take back to the 60s, a video camera, because I could film a lot of family that are no longer with me.
Oh, brilliant answer. Absolutely brilliant answer. Bridgeman?
I wouldn't know. More money, I think. More money. Take more money to the 60s and you'd be a millionaire, you know. And to the 60s here, I think the atmosphere was a lot better in the 60s. So if we could transfer that forward. And the Rangers. Bring the Rangers with it as well. So the Rangers for the 60s, but a bit of atmosphere, the great atmosphere you can get. That's a really tricky question for somebody as old as me. You could say well-fired rolls, you know. You know what I mean? My old man just loved the well-fired rolls, you know. You go to Dale's and get some rolls, right? But you get some for my dad, and it was well-fired.
Something who knows built an empire of Martin's rolls, you know.
There you go.
But aye, well, listen, lads, I hope you have enjoyed it.
Great.
Yes, it's been great fun, thanks.
Can I just say congratulations to my buddy there? Yeah. Oh, Skipper, well done, pal. Proud to be your partner there, pal.
Oh, no, team effort, buddy.
Don't say that too much, they're listening.
Just hand me the envelope at the bistro next time I see you.
Envelope, aye.
That Rangers team was obviously very, very successful. And obviously, but you said that we went through a bad period. And that bad period between 66 and the late 75, we got to 2 European finals. You know, so I don't know, maybe Scottish football was in a completely different place first and foremost.
Indeed it was, Oxford. Indeed it was. Rangers were a fantastic side, and all the Scottish teams were really good because you had great teams like Kilmarnock, Dundee United, Dunfermline. They were all smashing teams and played well. And when they get into Europe, and some of them got further than others, but we're still in there. And you know, what can you say? I love Kilmarnock. I love watching Kilmarnock. All these teams that I've just spoke about, I used to love watching them, and I supported them when they were in Europe. I wanted them to win and blah, but see now, sorry, it's completely different. 180 degrees. I'm not bothered. I don't know how bad that is, but it sounds bad.
Skip?
Yes?
It was a good era for Scottish football, but we had a very successful team, particularly in the early 60s up to 64, season 63, 64.
Aye, exactly. I mean, I think when I was having a look at all this, including 2 replays, between April of 60 and October 64, Rangers played in 10 finals and scored 20-odd goals in the final. In fact, our wee forward line there with Miller, Forrest, Brand and Wilson scored something like 20 goals in the finals.
Remarkable.
Just even the second half of the 60s, though, I mean, the great Lisbon Lions we go on about, they never beat Rangers in the league for about 3 years. You know, we could do well against Celtic. You know, it wasn't a bad Rangers team in the second half of the 60s. They just couldn't win when it mattered.
Mm-hmm. And also was it the whole season undefeated to the last game, was it, against Aberdeen?
Aye, we'll see Aberdeen last day of the season at Ibrox.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, listen, we're going to have a tune. I'm going to get a drink. It's been a blast. Enjoyed it. I've always also...
Is that a tune for the 60s you're going to play?
It might be.
Go on yourself. Can we Skip and I pick one, no?
It's already
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones.
It's already been done. You two have had it easy because I'm a great respecter of age, as you well know, Bridgeman.
Oh, right, aye.
Okay. The morning night when the 2 boys come on for the 70s, Albert and JFK, they might get a bit tighter compared to used. Right, get yourself on mute.
Rightly so.
We're going to have a tune.
I've been in exile for some years and my eyes filled up with tears when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. So I took a trip along just to hear some famous songs when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. I stood there all alone while the boys all down from home sang of Rangers, that team of great renown. And a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers. One of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. Now on the field below, the boys put on a show, the likes they'd never seen at Molyneux. And it's football, it was grand, from Macmillan, Scott and Brand, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. Now the white flag must come nearer, with men like Bobby Shearer, the way he played at Wolverhampton town. And the world forever after would sing of Jimmy Baxter, for on his head they placed that noble crown. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. Now I knew it had to happen, I heard a mighty roar, the famous Glasgow Rangers they had scored. And the sky was white and blue, Wolverhampton shook right through, the loyal rampant Rangers had come through. There's not a team like the Glasgow Rangers, one of the famous songs they sung, and a sight I'd never seen when they sang God Save the Queen, when the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town. When the Rangers came to Wolverhampton town.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
All right, we're back, Bridgeman. Come on.
I'm indeed, but I couldn't get off a mute there. I was that far away from it, singing there. Brilliant song, that, by the way. The guy that wrote that, brilliant.
Yeah, aye. Obviously, that's about 60 years ago now, that game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely, pal.
Hopefully your partner in crime will be back with Mr. Skipper. Do you enjoy that? Have you walked down memory lane, mate?
I did, yes. Absolutely. I just love these things, you know. My problem is that sometimes the memory sparks and sometimes it doesn't. But that's a problem I've got with age, isn't it? But no, they were great. And you're talking about Wolverhampton. I mean, a couple of my mates went down in that game, you know. All man took them down. Well, it was unbelievable stuff, you know.
I mean, that was an adventure. You don't realise it's an adventure. People wouldn't realise what. Then it would maybe to Wolverhampton, but if you were going by car, say, it would maybe have took you 10 hours to get there, wouldn't it?
Well, it's quite a way down, isn't it? You know.
It used to be 5 hours to get to Blackpool, didn't it?
Yeah, well, you're not far away from that. It would be that about 5 or 6 hours, no probability. And of course, I don't know about traffic. I can't remember what traffic would be like then. But if you had a wee bit of traffic, it'd take forever. The motorways are a lot better nowadays, you know. Yeah, so they make a big difference. But that's just brilliant. I just love this song. 3-2 we beat. Was it 3-2 we beat them?
No. Maybe an aggregate. I'll just check.
Aggregate, I think it was 3-2 for the Rangers. But great stuff. Great stuff. It doesn't really matter.
Great song and all, innit? That's
brilliant song. I don't know who wrote it, but he must have made a fortune after that.
No, it disappeared for a long number of years, mate, and then it came back to the support, you know. You know, it was a song that disappeared. Anyway, we've been joined by, well, I think he's joining us, Oh, no yet. He'll be with us in a second. Wonder what Mr. S. Skippers went.
Hello.
Hello, Bob J. How we doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. How are you? Brilliant discussion earlier on about the Sixties, by the way. How you getting on, boys?
We're all right, mate. Aye. What's in your mind, mate?
Hey, as I said about the discussion earlier on in the Sixties, it was absolutely fantastic. The only question I got wrong was Bewitched. I didn't get that, you know. I minded the Adams family and the Prime Ministers and stuff. So, great stuff, mate. Brilliant to listen to, especially the Rangers team. What a lineup that would have been, eh?
Well, it was we had only one criteria. You had to have played the majority of your games in the decade. So that took Eric Caldo out, mate.
Well, I've noticed that, aye. I've noticed that, yeah. Aye. I noticed you had the big brute at left back, Big Probin. That's what we used to cry him in the days for the territories, the brute. And he was a brute and all, but yeah, he got in because Caldo got his leg broken at Wembley. Hawks.
Bobby Smith.
Aye, Bobby Smith. Aye, it was a 50-50 challenge and just a few accidents, eh? And there were no substitutes at that time, and Smith had to limp the rest of the game out in the wing. And I remember it well. Davy Wilson went to left back and played brilliantly for Scotland that day.
Scotland won 2-1, eh?
Scotland won, Jim. You guess he scored the 2 goals that day, eh? That's Slim Jim. Mm-hmm. He put the greatest goalkeeper in the world the wrong way with a penalty kick that day. Absolutely world class. Aye, indeed.
Yep. Would you have did some different players in, Bob J, or were you comfortable with that team?
No, I was totally comfortable with that. I did wonder about Caldo. Aye, I did wonder about Caldo. Caldo did play for Rangers at the back end of the 50s, am I right? Mm-hmm. And became your captain and penalty taker, although he missed one in that final against Fiorentina. But that's life, that happens. And I did wonder about Caldo, but the rest of it, was totally spot on. Aye.
As I said, the reason Eric Caldo never got in the game, he played just over 50% of his games in the 50s, mate.
Aye. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which caused a bit of controversy today, Mr. Skipper, didn't it?
I do beg your pardon. I thought I was supposed to hang up at the end of the quiz.
No, you're here for the duration, mate. You're here for the duration. Also,
hello there, Bob J. It's nice to talk to you.
It's nice to talk to you and all, my friend. And by the way, Jim Forrest scored 5 goals against Morton. He scored them all with 1-5-0 in that final. I could go back, check that back up. I think so. I think I'm right there.
For the Morton game?
I think it was 4. I think it was 4. I think it was 4-0.
It was 5-0.
I'll get it for you.
I've been wrong. That's for sure. By the way, Bob,
I think Alec Willoughby scored 1.
Aye.
So that would have been the 5th then.
What was that?
Definitely scored 4.
Oh, aye. I think he scored them all. I'm not sure. And I mind that David Wilson scored in the 6 at Falkirk, when he played centre forward with injuries. And yeah. I can mind you that. You searching for that answer, Ox, aye?
I'm looking, mate. Give me a minute.
I'll give you a minute. Yes.
Yes, but saying there about Jim Baxter and playing against England. I think that in this was it 70. Was it 78? It wasn't 78. When Baxter was so good at Wembley, he had 2 games against England where he was
67.
Yeah.
67 it was.
Yeah, well, that and I think that was his finest hour. His finest hours.
Well, he was top of the world at that time. That was the time when Pelé said that Baxter was a Brazilian. He says, "You would have had my jersey."
Yeah, it was just fantastic. It was just fabulous. To keep you up at when was that 70? What was that?
That was 67.
67, and then the next year he put at Wembley. He scored the 2 goals.
No, he scored the 2 goals, and I think it was 63 at Wembley.
No, 63. Then that's fine. I'm just saying that those 2 games against England to me that was a pinnacle of his career. He was just outstanding. He was as fit as he could ever be. I'm not saying he was the fittest person in the world, but my God, and he had the arrogance More arrogance than
Bob,
empathy.
Bob Ger, I just want to say to you, mate, if you're going to come on here, please do your homework. Alec Willoughby scored the goals that day, mate. They are related. Alec Willoughby.
Against Morton?
Against Morton, yes. Yes.
How many did he score?
5 we scored that day. Alec Willoughby scored in the 65th minute. Jim Forrest, 52, 89, 88, 59th and 89th.
I apologise profoundly.
Come on here, do your homework. That right?
I will, boys. I do apologise profoundly.
What a shocker. What a shocker.
Right.
By the way, what a shocker, Bob Ger.
By the way, you're both wrong. He scored 4 in the League Cup final against Morton.
And that's what we're talking about.
Aye. And he scored 5 goals against Stirling Albion in an 8-0 win.
Mm-hmm. We were saying that I always thought that game was 4-0, Foxy. I thought it was 4-0 to Rangers.
That's how drunk you were.
Of course. So, there you go.
But then just a fabulous goal scoring machine, Jim Forrest, Bob Ger.
Well, see, if you look at Harry Kane and you look at him, again, it's different eras, but Forrest was a fantastic player. Unbelievable. He got in the team, what was the reason he got in the team? Jimmy Miller got injured. I'm sure Jimmy Miller got injured and they brought Forrest in as a young boy and he just kept on score every single week. I mean, when I was a kid picking up the paper and it was Forrest all the time. An incredible goal scorer. He really was. And like you said, it all fell apart at Berwick. And to think, I think I said this on the show one night, Ox, that Rangers got knocked out at Berwick in 1967 and reached a European final. Think about it if Forrest had played in the European final. Again, it's all hypothetical. You don't know. But, memories, wonderful memories. And Ralph Brand, M&B they called them. Miller and Brand. Scored goals, frightening. Jimmy Miller was so versatile. Yeah, so versatile. He could play at half-back, play at centre-forward, and still do a great job for you.
And you were happy with Greg and Baxter as the half-backs?
Absolutely. John Gregg, what a man. Your captain, your greatest friend you ever. How could you not be happy with Baxter, eh? And who was the centre-half? Was it Ronnie McKinnon?
Ronnie McKinnon.
Oh, the safest tackler in Britain in his day.
We had to put one player for Glasgow in it.
Aye, the safest tackler in Britain.
What a shocker saying that. What a shocker. But Rangers did have a history of going out to the sticks, as they say, and bringing some real quality in, you know. I used to go to Hearts a lot and get their players.
Well,
you think
Wally Johnson was... Sorry.
Carry on, Bob.
Wally Johnson was a Fifer. Jim Baxter was a Fifer. You know, and David Cooper was for where? David Cooper was for Hamilton.
Once again, Bob Ger, you've got to do your homework before you
Okay, pal. Okay.
Wally Johnston was born in Maryhill in Glasgow.
Really?
Yes.
Really? He was still Wally Johnson was for Lochore and Fife.
No.
Oh, that's an education for me. I always thought Wally Johnson was a Fifer.
He might have moved when he was 2-year-old, but he was born.
Well, aye. Something like that. But, no, dear, I never knew that.
Bob Ger, you're getting a doing tonight, Bob Ger. You are getting an absolute doing
tonight, pal. This is my worst doing on the show, aye. Aye.
Bobby, I ask you, Bob Ger, if you're going to come on here, please do your homework.
I'll do my homework. I will. I usually do.
Willie Johnson, yeah. Willie Johnson. Born, placed above Glasgow, yeah.
I've seen his first game for Rangers.
But he was a Fifer as such, but he was born in Maryhill, Bridgeburn. It's a bit
good.
Maryhill. Any comments?
Me? Sorry, I have to apologise, pal.
Dodgy.
I think that, well, you know, I think those were the days, and this was used to happen. We would have a great right winger, and they would have a great right winger. We would have a great fast left winger, and they had a great fast left winger. So that's what happened with Rangers and Celtic. They would Henderson and Johnson in it for them, and Johnson for us, and Bobby Lennox for them. Speed Merchants, the two Speed Merchants playing on the left. They were really fast. I think Bob Deere might be able to tell me, right, but didn't he win the professional sprint? Willie Johnson.
Powder Hall sprint.
Anyway, we've been joined by Amanda. Evening, Amanda.
Hello, good evening. How are we all? Just a wee bit of family history here for you. My dad was born in the same village as Davy Wilson in Newton, and he served his time in Redpath Brown with Davy Wilson. And my dad used to clean his pigeon loft out on a Sunday afternoon.
But I'm glad that you came on here. You've done a bit of homework, unlike that Bob Chair.
Well, I couldn't help it. It's 63 years of homework I've done. I'll only hear the story every 2 or 3 days, you know what I mean? But, no, when you were talking about the 60s there, obviously, I don't remember them much, you know. I mean, I just remember listening to the music when it was later on. But, no, I mean, I've heard my dad talking about Miller, Brand, Baxter, Wilson and all that. And, you know, I just think that goes back to the history of that great club of ours, doesn't it? You know, even in the 60s, you know, the teams were, I mean, you were listening to that tune there when Rangers came to Wolverhampton Town, you know. It just shows you the respect that the club's held in, you know. But, you've done well with your quiz there.
They've done all right, the boys. Considering they've got Alzheimer's between the two of them, they've done all right.
Oh, that is Foxtail, that is a right shocker.
Big Sender's on the phone right now.
Oh, dear.
I'm shocking.
Linda, go and get the dog's lead.
Oh, dear. But, no, I mean, it just shows you that the 60s were such a good era as well.
Aye, we were successful. Obviously, the back end wasn't a great, Skipper, was it? Trophy-wise, but we had some decent players even then.
No, but we had a great team. In the late 60s, we lost out. I heard Bob Gear talking about the other day. We lost out to Leeds the one year in the Newcastle United in the semi-final. At that time, it was a Fair Cities Cup.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. Reached 2 European finals in the 60s. Could have reached a third.
We were the first British team to reach a European final. Eh?
We were indeed. We beat, as Amanda mentioned there about the Rangers going to Wolverhampton Town, we beat them in the semi-final. We beat them 2-0 at Ibrox, and I think the late Alex Scott scored that night for Rangers. We beat them 2-0 in the semi-final, and they drew 1 each for them doing it at Molyneux. Right, and they were some side at the time. They were the pride of the English First Division at the time. I think Wolves. Don't think they won the league, but they weren't far off it. They were in the top 3 in the league at that time, and the Rangers beat them.
Anyway, I'll go and let more callers come in, guys, okay? But just usually coming, it's a good idea having all these theme nights, you know what I mean? 60s, 70s, 80s and all that. That's a good idea. So anyway, I'll let you go. Good night, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon, okay?
Keep the platforms polished.
See you later. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, Alex Scott scored in both legs, yeah.
Wonderful player. Wonderful player.
Mm-hmm. Alex Scott scored in both legs.
Was it Ralph Brandy got the other goal, Fox?
Yeah, it was, mate. Well done, Bob. You've redeemed yourself. There's a result in there. There's the result in there when you look at it. We beat a German team 11-0 in
Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Aye, I mean, come on, Skipper. That just doesn't happen, and we've done it. 11-0 in a German team.
Yes.
Borussia Mönchengladbach. Aye, I remember it well.
You know.
But I'm just thinking, see how Bridgman thought the final was 4-0. Instead of 5-0. Could it be that he got lifted before the 5th goal?
That's a strong possibility.
It probably is that. No, I just all I could think about it was that he scored 4 goals, Jim Forrest. You know, and I just took it to be it was a 4-0 for Rangers. But I'm pleased to say no, I'm wrong, and it was 5-0. But they were And I remember just before the game, a lot of the Rangers fans were a bit worried because Morton were playing like they were on fire. They were on fire in the second division, and they were coming up. They had a cracking team, scored over 100 goals. They were brilliant, but they come up against Mr. Forrest, who was even in a bigger fire. Just amazing, just amazing. What a great player.
All right, a special era for the club. Obviously, we had 3 managers in the 60s. Skipper, obviously, Scott Simon, Davy White, then Wally Waddell came in. One of our famous players. Different styles completely, the 3 of them.
Yeah,
I think.
On you go, Skipper.
Well, I actually think the game had passed Scott Simon by a wee bit. You know, he was still the collar and tie and didn't get involved so much. And you're talking to players of that era like Ian McMillan and whatnot, they'll say there was no tactics whatsoever. You know, it was just, you play for Rangers, you just go out and play your game. Ian McMillan tells a story about when they played Eintracht and they were getting hammered over there, and when they came in at half time, and she said, "What will I do for this?" And I said, and he was just, "No, you just get out and play the Rangers way." And he says, "Minute lost another 3 goals." Davy White was more tracksuit, and I think Davy White was a great coach. No, he was just unfortunate. Again, as I said earlier, just didn't win the games when it really mattered. You know, the disaster against Celtic in the cup final, things like that, it just didn't go his way. But he had a great league record against Celtic. And then Waddell come back with the discipline stuff. But again, I don't think he was so much a tactician as such.
Was the game changing, Bridgman?
Yeah, it was on the verge then. They brought in Davy White, and Davy White had been a marvellous season. He was manager of Clyde. A great season. He ended up 3rd in the league, and that's why we bought him. So he's behind Celtic Rangers. And he had a great record against Celtic when he came in. He came in to manage us, but he couldn't cope with the back chat for the players. He just couldn't cope with it. He was expecting the players at Rangers to have the same type of respect as a lot of the younger players that were at Clyde, you know. So that's what I think happened to him. And he got to apparently get into all sorts of arguments with players. And Harold Davis had to threaten a couple of them, you know. And famous was that Alex Ferguson was one of the players that fell out with White. And you call Harold Davis told him he'll never play for Glasgow Rangers first team again. And they had him playing against the Glasgow Corporation teams and things like that. And it's 13. That's just incredible stuff. And he never played again for Rangers, right enough. Away he went. So it was quite serious at the end up. I do apologise. It was quite serious at the end. All right. That.
Skipper, the guys are going to drop you and bring you right back in. There's something going on. Don't ask me what. So they'll bring you right back. Okay,
no problem.
All right, mate. Cheers. We'll be joined by Hugh for the Plymouth True Blues. Evening, Hugh.
Hiya, guys. Everybody all right?
All right, mate. Good to hear from you, bro.
Cheers.
What's on your mind?
I'd just like to, I was born in 86, but I'd just like to ask the more experienced guys. I often fantasise about no jumbotrons or no gaps in the corners of Ibrox. I just want to ask you guys, how was the old bowl-shaped Ibrox?
Okay. I'll let Bob Jer have a go at that first.
What was that? Was that the old stadium, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old concrete bowl stadium?
Yeah, the bowl-shaped old Ibrox, yeah.
It was very, very spacious, you know, but some of the crowds at that time that came in, you were talking about, there were regularly 70,000, 80,000 came in at that time and accommodated it all right. I won't know about the disaster, of course, that was still to come, but it was a very spacious place, very open place. I used to take my place when I was a kid up Stairway 13, and I had the old stadium was okay, was fine. You had they built the old centenary stand, boys, with the wooden seats. They put that in latterly there.
Well, obviously, And 72-73 season, yeah.
Aye, that's right, aye. But the old, you could always see the game, they bother in the old stadium. Aye. And with the old floodlights on the stand under for the sake of the airport, right enough. Well, different days now with this beautiful stadium we've got now. But yeah, I used to quite like going to the old stadium. And you could always walk round there. And whatever way Rangers were shooting, you could always walk round the stand, go to the back of the goals. I remember it well, yep. It was just like a pretty basic place, wasn't it, Ox? To accommodate a big crowd, but aye, okay.
There then.
You know there. Well, you mind it, Bridge.
I do remember it, and also one of the famous features that I remember was the line of palings or railings up the middle of the old shed opposite the stand. That was obviously one side was the Rangers end, and one side was it was the Celtic end. And that was our tradition. That was all it was, and it was a split all the way down. Just quite amazing. Basic, wasn't it? Yeah, it happened. But you're right. You could walk round the back all the way, right round. Marvellous stadium. I loved it. And you know what I loved the best about it? I've not been funny to say this, guys. When it came to put a covered stadium, a covered terracing in, and they covered the Rangers end at Celtic Park, and the Rangers end at Ibrox, and the Rangers end at Hampden, and left them in the rain. Absolutely brilliant. I just loved that.
Oh, well, you can't help bad luck. Anyway, we've been joined by Alex from Wishaw. Evening, Alex.
Good evening, Ox here, Bridgeman, Skipper.
Evening, Alex.
Bob J. What a fantastic show tonight. Oh, great show. The rolling 60s,
Two little boys.
Aye, roll for us, aye.
Aye, Bob J. So what about all this music? Two little boys.
Two little boys, huh?
Here's one for you, Bob J. Then.
Right, okay.
Music trivia, all right. The top two selling singles of the 60s were a two Beatles number.
Mm-hmm.
What was number 3?
Well, All You Need Is Love.
But
Hey Jude, I know they're probably the two biggest ones. What was number 3 with them?
No, what was number 3? Stella.
Could you repeat that, Alex? I got cut off a wee shade there, pal.
Don't Google on it. Right, the top two selling singles of the 60s were both Beatles songs. What was the third highest selling single of the 60s?
Satisfaction, the Rolling Stones.
Nah.
No.
It'll be something a bit different for that.
This swinging 60s is a myth, Alex. It's Tears. It's Tears by Ken Dodd.
Something crazy then. Right.
Tears by Ken Dodd.
There you go. What was it? What was the first two? Was it one? I Want to Hold Your Hand? One of them?
Yeah.
She loves you.
She loves you. Yeah. Well done.
There's not many of them.
Right, on you go. The floor's yours.
That's the old cop there, the 60s. They were the real songs, Oh, what a great show. Terrific. Bring back some memories there, Ox here.
Right, okay, mate. I didn't realise, I didn't recognise that you were that old, mate. There you go.
Oh, aye. My first game was 62 Cup final against St Mirren. My father took me. And we beat St Mirren 2-0. George McLean played with St Mirren that day. Beat them 2-0.
And we bought him the next day.
Year. Sorry?
Then we bought him the next day.
Aye, that's right. That's when they bought him. In the following year, 63, the game you were talking about, Rangers and Morton, 5-0, I was there. Aye, two cousins, Wallaby and Forrest, that was him. Ali Wallaby scored 1 and Jim Forrest scored 4. And they beat Celtic that year, I know. Scottish Cup, I went to a replay. We beat them 3-0.
Yeah. I think we've also been joined by Baloo. Evening, Baloo.
How you doing, bud? All right?
Oh, here's trouble. How you doing, Baloo? All right?
Not bad, pal, you?
Yeah, excellent, bud. Excellent.
I'm sitting here reminiscing with you boys. This has been great fun.
A great night, isn't it? A great night.
Oh, aye, good stuff.
My missus will be putting me all night. Now. I'll be talking about the Rangers in my sleep all night now. What do you see?
Talking about the Rangers, mate. So, listen, did you say Ken Dodd was the third most successful hit in the 60s?
Top selling single, number 3, Tears.
Really?
Aye.
Jesus, that's shocking, isn't it, man?
By the way, this swinging 60s is a myth.
I know.
Hey, you. Hey, behave yourself.
I'm a child of the 70s, really. So I like that question as well. A young boy put up about the old stadium, the old bowl before it was. That was a magical place. Absolutely brilliant. I don't remember the railing in the middle of the shed, funnily enough.
It was right up in the middle of the shed. If you went to the old parkade, it was the same, that was jungle.
I remember
there's railings up there. I mean, it took them away, because the stadiums were basically the Rangers end and Celtic end traditionally. That was it.
Aye. Well, see the Rangers end at Ibrox. If you get it around towards the main stand, there's a big railing down there. So you couldn't fall into the
death traps.
The enclosure. Because I stood there one night, we were playing DWS Amsterdam, and I hung onto that railing for the duration of the whole match. It took me a while to get out there, enough.
Your mother was asking you, where's your hand? What have you done with your hand?
Circulation's away. I think that was nothing new, right enough. I think my head was always like that.
I think it was a beautiful. I loved the stadium, the old stadium. I think it was absolutely superb. Even before they put the covered terracings up, it was a marvellous looking stadium. I thought so.
I don't remember when I went there at first. It was covered. The Rangers end was covered, but I always did laugh at the thought of the
Skipper, not just Ibrox. What about away games? Did you travel by train, supporters buses, or?
Both. There was a spell where I was in the supporters bus. I didn't like the supporters bus that much because the one I was in, they tended to get you there just before the kick-off and then left straight after. So you travel to places like Arbroath, and you watch the game and straight back again. But I travelled up the train. I went to Aberdeen and stayed the night. I know a lot of Rangers supporters done that. I got a lumber at the dancing in Aberdeen, but that's another story.
Okay, what was his name?
Thailand.
I'm Jimmy Ty.
Bob, you're getting it tight in the lobby. Hey Jude was number 20. On the top two, number 20 in the top selling singles.
Oh, I tell you. Hey, Bob, you need to forgive Bob Jerry for a terrible night.
You're a shocker, Bob Jerry.
What was that?
Hey Jude was number 20.
Hey Jude? Aye. Really?
In the top
God, aye. Oh, I mean, a terrible night. Yes.
What was the B-side of Hey Jude?
Hey Jude?
Aye.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know. I maybe never ever turned it out. I don't know.
You'll need to tell us now.
I think it was Revolution.
I think it was Revolution as well, aye.
That was a better tune.
Aye. Revolution, aye. Yep. I'll go for that. I'll try it.
I've just been told that Hadji scored tonight, but they don't know if he scored or had a card or something. You know what they done last night?
Yeah, exactly.
Poor Hadji or Yanis.
All right.
Yanis.
Aye, brilliant. Great memories. A great side. Below, obviously you're a bit young, but Alec, would you have changed it in the players?
You're a bit young.
Hey, listen.
I'll just go to Alec.
I'll make complaints here.
That was a good selection. That was a very good team. It was mentioned.
Brilliant.
Very good team. The reason we call it the 67 Cup Final, Cup Winners' Cup Final, well, you knew we get beat with Berwick in 67 at Scottish Cup. That's when Forrest and McLean never kicked a ball again. And that's how we were short come the Cup Winners' Cup Final. We ended up playing Big Hind.
Massive big saga, wasn't it? A big saga.
That was a saga, Bridge. That's what happened. They two, we call it, never kicked the ball with Rangers after that. We Sammy Reid scored the goal. Big Joke was the goalie. Big Joke Wallace.
Aye.
That's right. That day. That was it the game. A bit of string in the park. That's all they had. A bit of string holding you in. A right wet night. Wet Saturday afternoon. Big
Fortunately, it was loose. Fortunately, it was a bit loose, the string.
Aye.
Because a great couple of Rangers fans may have got trapped on it, have you?
Aye. Fieldmuir Park, aye.
Shocking.
Here was up there. I'll tell you a wee story. I know, I went to Brockville, right? And at that time, there must have been about 40,000 fans in at Brockville. You'd have the gate, the adult gate, you'd have the old days pensioners gate, you'd have the boys gate. And half the time you get lifted there. So we're up at the game. Now that miniature crowd in, we're sitting on the edge of the park. This is us on the park, sitting on the edge of it. And we're sitting there, the next thing, Dave Smith, this is about 1968. Dave Smith kicked the ball. This is a 4-game kick. They're just out limbering up now, and the ball comes out. The wee boy next to me, he gets up and gets the ball, and he's kicking it back to him, but he kept up for about just three times he kept. There was a little wee boy, maybe 8-year-old, and the Rangers fans all clap. It was unbelievable. Just sitting on the edge of the park, no bother at all. And there must be 40,000 there in that Brockville that day. That's the kind of crowds you were getting.
Aye, well, by the way, see when you look at it, I had the privilege of looking at a lot of things here. See, regular games at Ibrox, the crowds weren't as consistent as they are in the day, mate. The support we're getting from our side is a lot more consistent. Aye. Yeah, you had the big crowds for the big games, but a lot of league games were getting 20,000, etc. regular, even in good seasons.
I reckon that time when the crowds weren't, it was normally like that probably for many a year, but they got big crowds. But I think they're a great board, and it was the board's job to finance the club. The money they got in was just second. And I think that got men on the tick, because you end up with one magnet and then after an hour. And obviously, if you want to be a director, you put in so much money or something like that. I reckon there was something like that going on. Because the Rangers well serviced.
I was just wondering, I wonder if it was something to do with the fact, I mean, I went for probably when I was about 12, and I started going in the Lissett bus, the Glen Lissett for Local Patrick. But I don't ever remember season tickets right up to about the mid-80s or something like that.
Soonest brought them in.
Right. I was away for about 10 years, so I never got to see much. But
where were you?
We're in the Channel Islands, not far away.
Right, okay.
Where do you usually go for 10 years?
You were a tax exile.
Bridge, where do you usually go for 10 years?
Exactly.
I like that one.
Mug shots. He was too slow there, Ox. Far too slow.
I wasn't. I never thought that bad.
I joined the Foreign Legion, mate, honestly. But when I came back, it was just when Soonest came. I came out back at the end of '85. And I took a season ticket right away, but when I was going when I was a boy, it was always just like turn up and pay in.
That's right, yeah. That's where they got their cash free, wasn't it? Tax free, even the takings.
The amount of ways they got lifted over. I mean, didn't pay in ever?
Incredible, yeah.
Bridge wants that back, the OAP gate back so you can get lifted.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Somebody lift me out.
Or field under, maybe field under is better.
I'll tell you. See, I used to go to Shawfield when I was a wee kid, you know. I lived just down the road for Shawfield, down the main street, or just off it. And seriously, you know, you're only 6 or 7, and you get, Mister, will you lift me out? I ain't bother, son. Here, come on. I threw you in, you know, and away you went in. Mm-hmm. Great, I loved it. Saw some smashing teams. Didn't understand most of it, of course, you know.
Was that at Shawfield?
At Shawfield, yeah.
I used to get down to Cobowie Park after the BBs on a Wednesday, and we used to the doors would open at half time. Just to let people leave.
That's correct, and nobody get in. You could get in then.
No, well, Cooper was there at the time, but we used to walk in, bag of chips after the BBs and go and watch the game.
Yeah.
I've just randomly picked a game up, Alex. Yeah, 1965 Hamilton Scottish Cup tie at home. Yeah, Ibrox, 6th of February 1965. Rangers team: Richie, Provan, Matheson, Greg McKinnon, Wood, Henderson, Miller, Forrest, Brandon, Willie Johnston. Right, we won 3-0, and the crowd was 22,000.
Aye.
You know, they didn't really consider. I know the world was different, and then I'll just pick a home tie out. The 7th of November 1964 against Aberdeen. Decent crowd, 40,000. It says here, yeah.
That's a good crowd.
Yeah.
So, in the big games, it was mobbed. The support wasn't as consistent. Different era, people maybe didn't have the cash.
Totally.
I remember I used to go in the supporters bus and that, you know, and I get lifted there, like, you know. So, but the bus seemed to be busy all the time. But there was games in that there were bigger crowds. You came to play the European nights or that, cup ties and that. You were certainly up over the 40,000, right up into the capacity, 90,000 in that.
I reckon
it was a massive stadium. It was a massive stadium. You're going in there. We used to go up Stairwell 13 and cut out the shed, what they call the Brigton shed. You thought you were great in there with all the sing-song. That was all the sing-song went on. You thought you were the bees and knees, man. Then you come back. Great days, man. Great days.
See that time, Alec?
Aye.
I used to go up to the train station in Alabama, right? And you got the train over what we call the Thrust Bridge. There was a wee bridge over the Forth thing. There was a wee steam-powered thing, and you used to crap your trousers to get out of it, but you might was made of it. The pier. I take the dogs up there for a walk. I live no far from it, and the piers are still there. And what you did was you caught the Inverness to Glasgow at Lambert, and you went on and go up at the old Buchanan Street, walked down Buchanan Street, got the underground up. At that time it was called Portland Road, and up you went into the cafe, and you got your cup of tea and a pie there, and then the boys get around the corner at Stairway 13. Fantastic days indeed. I've seen some funny crowds there at that time.
Those are great memories, Bob J. Great memories.
I'll never forget.
I think young Hugh's still with us. Hugh, different generation now. Eh?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's good to hear all the old stories and that.
Hugh, was it you that asked about the old stadium earlier on?
Yes, it was. Yes, I was just curious just how the bowl shapes worked and how
something Bob George said there.
Shoulder with fans all the way around.
Oh, it was mob. But something Bob George said there is when you bought a pie. See, if you see all the terracing, the big curved terracing up the back, there's a bit of a concourse. It's maybe about 15, 20 feet wide. Where you walk round, at the end of the game, you walk down the stairs, and in that concourse area there was a garden shed with a flap that lifted up, and that's where they sold the pies out of. That one garden shed with pies. That was brilliant.
See that time, Hugh. See that journey I've just described to you when I came in the train, etc. Well, obviously you had to repeat the journey going home, and that cost me less than 10 shillings at the time, which is now 50p. The boys will reiterate that. You'll know, Ox, you're too young. But
don't you tell him that. For God's sake.
was less than 10 shillings at the time. I remember. Fantastic days. Great
10
days.
shillings. 10 shillings.
That
was the price of the Real Madrid game. 10 shillings.
By the way, we were going to have a question about the old money that we gave up, didn't we, Skipper?
Oh, I can't work with new money.
10 shillings.
The new money.
I tell you who was the best with the old money, Bridgeman. He still got a lot of it kicking about, but it sounds like Skipper.
I knew my money. Got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing.
Still got a white five in your wallet.
I tell you what, many years ago, I remember you used to get you could go in the bus and you could get a football special if a game was at Hampden, or you go to Ibrox and probably go to Park. I never bothered, but I probably got one going to Park here as well. The football special buses, and it's the football special trains in the Central Station. And one of them would take you out to Ibrox as well. Many moons ago.
When did they do away with the railway line at the back of Ibrox? When did they stop the station?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Before the 60s?
No, it was probably... Well, it might have been the late 50s. It might have been the late 50s.
Was that Beecham? Was it Beecham?
No, it wouldn't be Beecham. Beecham was in the 60s.
Dr. Beecham.
I was the 60s. But they might have... I think they stopped it. I think they stopped it before the 60s, to be honest.
Right, okay.
Is that what David Murray tried to revive?
Oh, it makes sense.
Well, consecutive ones have tried it.
Went through Port Glasgow, Greenock, and the people maybe got to the airport. And if there was a rail link, the congestion you take away for the stadium would be
incredible. Just incredible. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense for me. What do you think, Skipper?
Aye, definitely. Aye.
I always feel we're getting robbed by the subway. I don't know why. I know it's no expensive, but really, I just think we're getting robbed. Treated like dogs.
Because you don't go on it for nothing.
No. So for the money you're paying, Rangers supporters are absolutely subsidising the Glasgow Underground. Most assuredly. Glasgow Underground. Absolutely.
Yes, pal. Whereas you just don't like the subway because you have to mix with the peasants.
No, Skipper, that was sore.
The 6th of
How much is the subway bridge?
The 6th of February 1967, the train station shut.
There you go. But I think they'd stopped the football specials long before that. I think they'd stopped them long before that because it was probably unlicensed or something like that, something stupid, you know. Because that would be 67, might have been a beaching time. Maybe it was axed. Yeah, okay.
I think he implemented the cuts before that.
Did he?
That's probably when they took effect, though.
Yeah. Good shout, Bob J. Good shout. It's scary. It's just scary.
Shut the country down.
I've done that a few times.
There'd be a lot of logic in that. When you think you can kind of get the train, you can't get the train through the city centre of Glasgow Airport, can you? Don't think you can
No,
you?
there's no railway. There's no railway, and that's one of the scandals. One of the scandals. Successive governments having to put a railway line in there, just rotten.
Paisley the nearest.
Paisley the nearest.
That would be it, aye. But they've got a direct line down to Prestwick.
Okay.
No, they've always had direct lines down to the Ayrshire coast. There was always direct lines down to the Ayrshire coast for the holidays, for people going on their holidays.
Aye, true.
Remember, some of these resorts were half owned by the British Rail. It was called British Rail, then, wasn't it?
That was.
Okay, so we've had a great walk down memory lane. Skipper, what was a highlight in the 60s in your Rangers supporting career, mate?
Oh.
We don't want a story about Aberdeen.
I couldn't possibly tell a story about Aberdeen. I think one of my happiest memories, because I wasn't allowed to go to the Old Firm games with my mother and father to the late 60s, and one of my earliest Old Firm games was we went to Parkhead in the league in 1968 and we gubbed them 4-2, and that was just magic. That was my first victory. That was actually it.
Mm-hmm. All right, okay. I think there's footage of that on YouTube, mate. I think there's
there is, yes.
YouTube, and the stand at Parkhead is pretty much mixed, isn't it?
Aye, can you see all the horns going up when the goal's going?
Aye.
Yeah, you see Bridgeman getting frog marks around the track and all.
I love it.
I noticed that. And what about you, Bridge? The biggest highlight of your 60s Rangers?
Well, apart from the normal, you could say all these great victories the Rangers got. I think it was Rangers and Hibs. I can't remember if it was Rangers and Hibs were at Ibrox. And the half time, they put the scores up at half time. And I can remember, if anybody went to the old Ibrox, they've got this board up the top there and they put the half time scores up. And I think Celtic were getting beaten in the League Cup final with Partick Thistle.
That was
3-0 or 4.
That was 1971.
There you go.
Wrong decade.
Oh God, sorry then. I'm sorry.
60s,
they all roll into another, you know, roll into one to another. But the 60s, it's got to be watching Inter Milan, Real Madrid. Think people like that, just watching these things, just fantastic. Great experiences. And winning the cups, Jim Forrest winning the cup for Rangers, just fabulous. These things are just fantastic. And obviously you go to Ibrox and it's there, it's party time, you're in there. Party time. Always put a show on.
Bob J.
Well, the 60s is a bit of a mixed decade for Rangers. We couldn't cope with the going of Baxter and coming as steam to them. Never mind about that happened. But one memory that sticks out for me was a Scottish Cup replay against them when the late Kai Johansson battered the ball in the back of the net. We drew nothing each for them on the Saturday. Wally Johnson should have won it for us that day then, but at the Wednesday night when he scored that glorious goal again, and Rangers were massive underdogs at the time. I mind you that. And we were up in the Scottish Cup.
I was both games. I was at both games, Bob J. Both games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Kai Johansson goal, we must have hit it for the halfway line.
Oh, what a strike.
Yeah,
what a strike.
Great stuff.
Alex?
I'd be so evident.
I'd say 64 Cup final, the Bert Slater Cup final, the wee Dundee goalkeeper. We beat them 3-1 Rangers.
What a performance he had that day.
That's right. Kenny Cameron. Rangers scored Kenny Cameron. He's equalised. Then Rangers, Miller and Brandon, we beat them 3-1. And see that strip, that blue and white strip that they had on that day. I was playing football. We were up against Rosewell in at Glasgow there. It was a Scottish Cup tie. And what happened, we went in there without the strips. So obviously we were getting the cup tie out. And one of the guys says, you know, get into Ibrox here and see about a set of strips just off the cuff. So I asked the guy to run the team, John Fraser, take a run in there. Sure as God, he went in there the next thing, he got a set of Rangers strips. And it was the blue and white strips we had on. And we'd already beat them in the west of Scotland 2 weeks before it. This is us playing the Scottish Cup. And they beat us 2-0. And I was playing fullback that day. I was the chuffedest guy in the world, man. I'm running about with a Rangers strip on. What a memory, man.
Did you keep the
strip?
Did you keep the strip?
Sorry?
Did you keep the strip?
No, the strips. They had to go back to Ibrox and that. But
oh, come on.
You
sneaked it.
You
should have sneaked it.
You beat too enough. They didn't want it.
You see Jim Bell. You see Jim Bell for one of them, wouldn't we? You see Jimmy Bell for one of them. No, brilliant. That was me. Introduced to the Rangers family in 1962, my father. God love him and that, you know, that was me. And I've been going ever since. I've missed many a game. I've been there a lot of times. My boys, they've just followed on and all. So that's what it does to you, Rangers. It's just in your blood, in your life.
Here. It's a big part of our life, Billy.
Totally. Oh, aye, very much so. I mean, 60s wasn't necessarily my decade. I think I started going about 67, 68. Can't actually remember. I remember who it was against, and it was a midweek game. It was under the floodlights. In fact, I think I told you about it one night before. It's more like a highlight for the 60s. I was standing down the front, you know, where the wee cars were. It was in the shed, and I was standing a couple of beer cans because I wasn't big enough to stand at the wall. So there's a couple of beer cans to get out in the wall. And this guy, one of the players was walking towards me to pick up the ball for a throw-in. And he was wearing white, head to toe, white top, white shorts and white socks. And I'm booing like mad at him. And he's getting closer to me. I'm thinking, he looks awful like Willie Henderson. It was Willie Henderson. We were playing in the away tops that night, the away strip that night. I'd been booing Rangers for about the first 15 minutes of the game. So, not a good memory, but that was it.
It's a shocker, Barry. Imagine booing me, Willie.
It's the truth, mate. I had no idea. I had a wee boy. I think I was about 9 or I must have been about 10 or 11. It was one of my pals in school. His dad took his best to the game. So that was that.
Different era. Hugh.
It's totally different. Changed days these days. I'd just like to say, even you just scanning videos or scanning photos, it always stands out. It's like the royal blue long sleeves with the white V-neck. It always stands out in all the photos. Got to strip back in.
Well, Skipper, you enjoyed it?
I have that, yes. It's been a fantastic night. Thank you very much for the invitation.
No, you're Rangers Radio royalty, you are. Royalty. Bob Ger, a few schoolboy errors, very disappointed in you. I had you in high esteem before.
Oh, dear. Can I give you one more 60s memory?
Go on then, mate.
Just one. I mean, when I was just a young boy, I was on a motor in an Allowan and there was a car smashed into me and broke both my legs. That's a fact, no a joke. And I was in the hospital for 6 months. And I always tell all the Bairns that was Barcelona's loss. I didn't want to play for them. I wanted to play for the Rangers. And I was in the hospital ward with a sticky on both legs and was very, very downcast, as you can understand. And one Saturday night, who walked into the ward, and this is a true story, cross my heart and hope to die. In walked wee Willie Henderson and Dick McTaggart. And my dad was at like a smoker's night in the Bridge Bar in Allowan. They were the guests that night. The old man asked him if they'd maybe go up and visit me in the hospital to raise my spirits. And he did, wee Willie Henderson. You know, I'll never forget him for that.
That's a nice story.
Yeah, that's true.
Well done, Bob Ger. Well done.
Aye. There you go. So that was a highlight of the 60s for me, and a Beatle haircut at the time, so there you
go. You should have
He still got it, no?
You should have was there.
No. Ken Tears for Souvenirs, that amazed me, like, that blew me away.
Anyway, Bridgeman, we've reached that time of the evening.
It's going to be sad to go, to be perfectly honest with you. What a wonderful evening. What a wonderful evening. Oh. Well done, Oxchair. Well done. And thank you very much to Skipper for being my partner. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. And can I just say this? All the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here, on Rangers Radio, every single one of us, just remember who we are. We are the Glasgow Rangers. We are the people. Keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers need us. Keep it going.
Here. Can I thank, sorry guys, thanks to Bob Jeff for taking a bit of ribbon. Thanks to Amanda for joining us. Thanks to Hugh for joining us. Alex, of course, Baloo as well. Great to hear from each and every one of you. But more importantly, thanks to Skipper and Bridgeman for putting herself out there and sharing some of their knowledge and their stories with us. Great to hear from you. Tomorrow's a complete change around. It'll be myself, JFK and Albert when the decade will be the 70s. Looking forward to that.
Great show.
They too could be fun and games. Thanks for listening. Please stay safe. Take it away, Old School Blue.
They come from all of Glasgow, they come from near and far. They come from every Highland glen, from here to Lochnacar. They sail from dear old Belfast to the bonny banks of Clyde. They gather round to Timeless Park and loudly sing with pride. Oh yes, R-E-N-G, and R-N-S. In case you didn't catch a friend, I'll set your mind at rest. Oh yes, R-E-N-G, and R-N-S. The boys in blue of Ibrox, I the Scotland's very best. Oh yes, R-E-N-G, and R-N-S. In case you didn't catch a friend, I'll set your mind at rest. Oh yes, R-E-N-G, and R-N-S. The boys in blue of Ibrox, I the Scotland's very best. There's Richie Shearer, Robin, John Gregg, McKinnon too. There's Baxter, Henderson, George McLean, they proudly wear the blue. There's Miller, Brandon, Wilson, what better could you want? Plus 70,000 Rangers fans that proudly sing this chant. Oh yes, R-E-N-G and R-N-S. In case you didn't catch a friend, I'll set your mind at rest. Oh yes, R-E-N-G and R-N-S. The boys in blue, the Ibrox, I the Scotland's very best. Richie Shearer, Robin, John Gregg, McKinnon too. There's Baxter, Henderson, George McLean, they proudly wear the blue. There's Miller, Brandon, Wilson, what better could you want? Plus 70,000 Rangers fans that proudly sing this chant. Oh yes, R-E-N-G, and R-N-S. In case you didn't catch your friend, I'll set your mind at rest. Oh yes, R-E-N-G,